More than mine, David.
We paid charge.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it'd be this many people. I don't blame
Greg, I'm good.
Good to see you.
Just glad Friday.
We're a couple days early.
Okay, thank you. Everybody good? Everybody ready? All good. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's January 17th, 2023 City Council meeting. I'd like to please ask that everyone silence all electronic devices. At this time, we'll call on Council Member Ronnie Wall for tonight's invocation.
Pray with me. Father, thank you for every seat that has been filled here today. For each mind and heart that feels the presence of this room, we thank you. Only you truly know what we are setting out to accomplish today. We have an idea, a vision, hints, and daily instructions. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. However, only you can see in perfect detail the end of every beginning. Every project, every season, every life. Nothing is ever in vain, for even mistakes and missteps are used for good. Your righteousness transcends all of our efforts and understanding. Forgive us for our pride, the pride that puffs us up, and the pride that threatens to unqualify us. Strengthen our confidence in you. You have made us to be. Set us free from comparison in order to work together efficiently. Bless this meeting today, all those present, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterwards. Ready us to make every moment count. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well, tonight is a very special night. We've got a proclamation, but it's such a good-looking crowd, a group that we're very, very proud of. And tonight we want to recognize the accomplishments of the Hugh M. Cummings High School Band. At this time, we'd like to recognize Band Director Gregory Milton to come forward. Is Gregory here? See you. I'd like to read a proclamation on behalf of the Hugh M. Cummings High School and the band and their recent endeavors. And then we're going to ask Mr. Milton to give us kind of a little rundown, maybe introduce this crowd. And I think we have a video. Is that right? So, proclamation. The City of Burlington, North Carolina proclamation recognizes the Hugh M. Cummings High School Band, January 17th, 2023. Whereas the Cummings High School Marching Band was the only band in the state of North Carolina to be invited to perform at the December 31st, 2022 All-State Sugar Bowl 2023 at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Whereas the Cummings High School Marching Band reached out to its community and the Alamance Burlington school system to help raise over $90,000 to fund 49 band students, including select Broadview Middle School students, passage to New Orleans. Whereas in preparation for the Sugar Bowl, the Cummings High School Marching Band practiced 4 to 5 days a week before the event and further increased the intensity to 3 or 4 hours per practice despite the school being closed for the holidays. Whereas the Cummings High School Marching Band collaborated with young marching bands around the country and nationally renowned band directors to rehearse and perform in the Sugar Bowl halftime show, Sugar Bowl parade, and participate in the Battle of the Bands field show competition. Whereas the band students earned the opportunity to experience the rich culture of New Orleans and its people, other marching band students from various states, as well as serve as representatives of not only their school and their city, but also representatives of their state of North Carolina. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Jim Butler, and the Burlington City Council do deem it an honor and a pleasure to extend this proclamation in recognition of the Hugh M. Cummings High School Band. The City of Burlington admires the band's mission and determination to ensure their trip to New Orleans and showcase their great musical talents this 17th day of January 2023. Ms. Milton, please share us a little bit about your experience, and if you wanted to, got key folks with you or anybody in the crowd you'd like to introduce. And
Thank you for the opportunity. Our deepest fear by Mary Ann Williamson. Our deepest fear by Mary Ann Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are adequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing light about you, so other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And to let our own light shine, even honestly, give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. I am so grateful that we literally, truly love that poem, because as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. And I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to go down to New Orleans to let every school down there know that Alamance County is not anything to play with. The kids worked hard, and they represented you all very well, and I'm so grateful. There's an African proverb that says that it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm so grateful that the village came together and helped us get the students down to New Orleans. So to Mayor Jim Butler and the board and other members, we are so grateful for your continued support, and to our principal, Latasha Fonville, for her support as well, to Mr. Jason Slagle, who's on behalf of Broadview Middle School, to our superintendent, Dr. Dane Butler, and the school board. We're just so grateful that you all saw enough in us to allow us to go. But not only did we go, but we showed up and showed out. They always say, behind every great man is a great woman. And I want to take time to represent and tell my wife, thank you for the last 9 months. It's been sugar bowl this and sugar bowl that. So very quickly, I also want to recognize the staff. They talked about how well I did, but anybody knows that you can't do anything alone. And so I have a great team, and I want to recognize Chris Tapp, if you would stand, Mr. Vandale Stewart. Mr. Renee Albright, who is at home sick, and also Ms. Kiera White Randolph. And last and certainly not least, I want to thank a group of parents, my Band Booster staff, who we were selling fish sandwiches and holding signs and waving at folks and whatever it took. And I'm grateful for those parents who decided to tag along and help me out to do it. So again, thank you all for this time and this proclamation.
who played in that game?
It was as you can tell, I was concerned about getting the baby down. Alabama and K-State.
Who won it? Roll Tide. Can we get a picture?
Bring all of your folks up here for a nice photo with our city council members, but we can have our taller folks come up across behind them and stand behind our council members, and then we'll file in the rest in front. You know who you are, so you know what you're hiding.
Back around, we don't go around the back there.
Great job, guys. Good job.
Right here. Yep. Good smiles.
Thanks, guys.
I like the guy's shoes. His shoes.
Be wide for me.
Okay, so we'll pause for just a moment. We've got some individuals downstairs we're going to bring up for the rest of our meeting. They've been waiting. What a good-looking group that was.
Absolutely.
Bet they had some fun too.
I was hard today. Well, 100 people.
Doing a bunch.
I think they said 40 initially.
Is that right?
Really impressed that they knew who won the game. But they knew who won.
You didn't know.
I kind of knew.
Yeah, I think
Kind of knew.
Mayor, I'm not getting numbers.
Oh, I got you.
Look at the devil, there he is.
His grandson.
Is that it? We got everybody? So before we move on, the council has a long-standing tradition of recognizing our scouters when they come in. And certainly we do a little session for our Eagle Scouts every year. So I think we have Troop 39, is that right?
That's correct.
City manager told me it's Troop 47, so I'm glad we got that situated.
All three of my boys were in Troop 39. The Scoutmaster's son is roommate for my son. I'm just bad with numbers.
Yeah. So let's introduce everybody. Can we?
Okay. Would you like them to introduce
Yep,
themselves?
absolutely.
Stand up and introduce
And
yourselves.
we're citizenship in the community, or what?
We're working on citizenship in the community.
Okay.
Merit badge, which requires visiting a
Yep.
city council meeting.
Yep.
And so that's why we're here tonight. So,
You picked a really good one.
all right, just start there with Zeke and just say your name.
Hi, my name is Zeke Coniger.
Hi, my name is Nathan Hutz.
My name is Anthony Hunt.
My name is Sheriff Stubbs. Isaiah Raymond.
Ryan Murphy. My name is Brody Cameron.
My name is Julian Colley. Ray, you want to stand up?
Lee Turner, Assistant Scoutmaster. Drew Hill, Assistant Scoutmaster.
I'm Warren Payne. I'm the Scoutmaster of Troop 39, and all three of Craig's sons were in my Eagle Scouts. I was their scout.
Welcome and congratulations. Thank you guys for being here. It's good to see Mayor Tolley with us. I think now I know why you're here. So good to have you, Mayor. At this time, we'll get back to our agenda. Next on the agenda is a report to City Council, our auditor's report for fiscal year 2021-2022. At this time, we'll recognize Director of Finance and Risk Management, Peggy Reese, and we have Patricia Rhodes and Tom McGowan from Stout Stewart, McGowan and King with us as well.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight in front of you, Council, Mayor and Council, and I'd just like to go ahead and turn it over to Patricia Rhodes, who is the partner in charge of this audit for the city, and to give her a report.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for allowing us to be here tonight to report on the audit for June 30th, 2022. We are here reporting to you tonight because we, as auditors, work for the council. We work with the city staff on the audit. The audit report was submitted to the Local Government Commission for their review, which is required by all governmental units every year. This report was prepared in the prescribed format of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. The summary financial information is in the front of the report, and as you continue through the report, the information gets more detailed. The annual comprehensive financial report for June 30th, 2022 was prepared by the City of Burlington finance staff. The sections of the financial report that are actually prepared by Stout Stewart, McGowan and King are the audit opinion letter on Roman numeral page 12, and in the compliance section, the report on internal control over financial reporting on page 161, and the report on compliance with each major federal program on page 163, and the report on compliance with each major state program on page 166. On Roman numeral page 9, the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting was received for the year ending June 30th, 2021, marking the 23rd consecutive year the award has been received by the city, which is a great accomplishment, especially due to all the constant changes that are being required for the reporting. So congratulations to Peggy and her staff on that. As stated in the opinion letter on Roman numeral page 12, the statements are the responsibility of the management of the city. They are also responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Our responsibility as auditors is to express an opinion on the statements based on our audit, which is conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. The opinion that we are rendering on the financial statements is an unmodified opinion, which is the best and cleanest opinion that can be received. The management's discussion and analysis, starting on Roman numeral page 15, is an excellent financial overall summary of this very expansive and detailed report. It contains financial highlights, financial analysis and economic factors, and budget highlights for 2023. I encourage you all to start at that point, and then if you need more detail, delve into the report a little bit further. There are two new schedules that appear in this year's report that were not in last year's report, and that is the special revenue schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the ARPA Grant Project Ordinance Fund on page 100, and the capital projects schedule of revenues and expenditures and changes in fund balance for the General Fund Capital Projects Fund on page 112. The city did implement during this past fiscal year GASB statement number 87 for leases. And this GASB was required, the city was required to implement this and to record qualifying operating leases on the statement of net position as a liability and a corresponding asset instead of expensing it on the statement of activities. And what GASB determined was that the lease is a contract and a financial commitment, and so that's why they wrote this GASB to record the liability on the statement of net position. The overall citywide tax collection rate for the 2021 taxes was 98.59%, which is excellent collection rate. In the compliance section, in the back of the report on pages 171 and 172, there's a list of grant monies that were expended during the year for federal and state grants. For this past year and the coming years, the grant money received will only probably increase due to funds coming from federal, state, and local sources tied to the American Rescue Plan Act and other legislation. We do consider internal control as part of our audit, but we do not express an opinion on the internal control. But we consider the internal control in determining appropriate audit procedures. As part of our consideration of the internal control, nothing came to our attention that we were required to report to you as material weakness or significant deficiency. If something had come to our attention, we would have reported this to you in a separate letter. There is a 3-page letter that I think you received that is a required communication to the council as part of our professional standards about our audit. And just to summarize the letter, we disclose that we have not encountered any difficulties with management in performing our audit, nor did we have any disagreements with management over any accounting, reporting, or auditing matters. We continue to work with the finance staff on the implementation of any new governmental accounting standards board statements issued and any effects that those would have on the financial reporting of the city of Burlington. Does anyone have any questions for us?
I have one question with the change in how we treat leases now. How do we come up with the asset value of a lease? Is it based on the capitalized cost, or how do we do that, Peggy? We don't, it's not an owned item.
It's a complicated process. We have actually attributed to the asset itself, how much is attributed to the interest over the life of the loan. And so we have to do that for both copiers and printers that we're leasing, as well as we have to do it for the other side, which is all the cell phone companies that are leasing space off our water towers or wherever. We have to do it on both sides. So it's we use this software that we put all the information in, and it calculates the end result for us.
All right. Yep. Any questions? Any other questions? Okay.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank Craig, Peggy, and all the city staff for their assistance during the audit. And thank you to the council for allowing us to be the independent audit firm for the city. We are local and available anytime for any questions the council may have.
Thank y'all so
Thank
much. We appreciate all of your work that went into this.
Thank you very much.
Our next item is Code of Ethics, disclosing conflicts of interest. At this time, we'll recognize our city clerk, Beverly Smith.
Members of council, it is my responsibility to remind you of your duty to avoid conflicts of interest. I ask if there are any potential conflicts concerning tonight's agenda items.
None.
Next item is the adoption of the agenda. At this time, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Our next item is the consent agenda. These items are typically non-controversial. If anyone has any questions about these following items, please let us know. Item A, to defer the consideration of the voluntary non-contiguous annexations of the following properties to a future time pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160D-202 and Burlington City Code Section 40.40 and the terms of the annexation agreement executed by the applicants and the city and filed in the Alamance County Register of Deeds. 2224 Melrose Drive, parcel identification 170422, 2258 Melrose Drive, parcel identification 127059. Item B, to approve Budget Amendment 2023-24, recognizing grants and donations made to animal services, including substantial contributions from Pet Adoption and Welfare Society of Alamance County, or PAWS, Best Friends Animal Society, BFAS, Margaret T. Petrie Foundation, and members of the public to support spaying and neutering of community cats through the Mighty Mousers program and medical care of animals at Burlington Animal Services. At this time, we'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Our next item is public hearing. Item 1, a public hearing has been scheduled to consider adopting a resolution to support an application to the North Carolina Commerce Building Reuse Grant Program for the Arm & Stone LLC located at 322 Fonville Street in Burlington. At this time, we'll recognize our Economic Development Director, Peter Bishop. Peter, welcome this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, and other members of council. It's great to be with you again. I guess we got 2 meetings in a row, so good way to start the year. But I am here tonight, as you mentioned, to talk about the Arm & Stone project. And this is a State of North Carolina Department of Commerce Building Reuse Grant project. So we are partners with the company in applying for this grant program from the state. The Arm & Stone project involves the renovation of a 65,000 square foot vacant industrial facility located at 322 Fonville Street. To orient you, this block where this building is located is bounded on the north by Fisher Street, to the west by Holt Street or NC 62. To the west by Fonville Street, to the east by Holt Street, NC 62, and to the south by North Church Street. So just outside of downtown is where this property is located. And as our city attorney was waxing nostalgic the other day in a meeting, it's the home of the former Carolina Box Company, which used to make fancy boxes for special awards and the like. The project will involve an investment of about $3 million, including the real estate purchase, about $1.3 million in machinery and equipment, and about $565,000 in building renovations. The project will create 33 new jobs over 2 years with an average salary of $52,000. The 33 number was updated recently on the confirmation of the project owner, so you may have a previous presentation in your packet. And the grant that's been sort of preliminarily approved by Department of Commerce is $200,000 for this project. So with me this evening, we do have two representatives for the company. We have Tracy Margosian, one of the owners of the company, who's over here over my right shoulder, and then Jason, hopefully I get this right, Nadistan, who's the general manager for the company. Now, uniquely, when we do these projects, we're typically working with an existing entity that has had business operations either in the state or in another state. In this case, Armandstone is a startup company. And what that means for the building reuse program and for our process is there's a slightly higher bar of review for different financial instruments and documents for the personal guarantees of the ownership group. There are requirements for a business plan, a capital plan, the Articles of Incorporation, and then the state's Small Business and Technology Development Center, the SBTDC. They actually review the business plan and the project on behalf of the Department of Commerce and give the local government, as well as the Department of Commerce, a thumbs up on what they think about the business plan and its viability. Now, I will say that Tracy's company is coming to us very well situated. The company has already secured an SBA loan through Fidelity Bank and also a revolving line of credit through Fidelity Bank, so they already have those in hand. That's a really good start as a startup company to have a bank that believes in your business plan. The SBTDC's review was positive to the Department of Commerce, and certainly all of the things that we have researched about the company have checked out in talking to both Tracy and Greg, who unfortunately is not here, but that's Tracy's husband, Greg Margosian. So the business of Armandstone is a stone cutting business that serves the contractor market, so more of a B2B approach to stone cutting and marble countertops. The owners both have significant management experiences in their personal careers. Greg, who I mentioned is not here, is an executive at Toshiba in RTP and previously with IBM in product development. Tracy, who will be doing a lot of the human resources and sort of CFO work for the company, also has that in her background. And then Jason, who is here, has a long background in value-added stone manufacturing, so a very reliable team for this startup company. And then, of course, they're targeting Burlington because of the market that we're surrounded by and that we're a part of. So the Burlington market's growing. From Burlington, you can really achieve good customer relationships in both the Triad and the Triangle markets. So really a great place. We see this frequently with service businesses that have a lot of vehicles based here. A lot of companies in plumbing, electrical, and other trades are based in Burlington because you can have that dual customer base attraction. So seems to make sense for the business plan for Armandstone to locate here. Here's an aerial picture of the building, and I'll talk through some of these improvements, but most expensive of the improvements are roof repairs. So this building and set of buildings was built in 1951. Some of the roofs may be of that same vintage, so a partial roof repair replacement and then several repairs. There will be some money spent on internal flow through the building, so moving very heavy objects. You need to fit tow motors and other trucks through the different walls, so they'll be expanding those. Speaking of an old school industrial layout, this has an internal courtyard for truck deliveries. They make trucks a lot bigger these days, so that's a little trickier. They'll be installing a new dock door inside. Of course, again, being 1951 vintage, all the HVAC systems, finishes in the offices and bathrooms will be updated. And then, of course, the installation and placing of the stone manufacturing equipment. So this is just a few slides about the program itself. We're pretty old hand now at building reuse grants, but just to recap, this is a legacy program from the North Carolina Rural Center that was transferred back to Commerce. It has a $500,000 cap, or 50% of the project costs. The local government is actually the applicant rather than the company. So we are the ones who make the application, and your resolution of support is putting the confidence into that application. But we partner with an investing company, which is Armandstone. Our cash match, 5% cash match, is required for Tier 2 communities and Tier 3 communities. That's $10,000 in this case. And annually, I mean, we're getting close to budget time again. We just heard our audit report. It was great to hear that. But I'll be putting together a budget, and every year we anticipate one or two of these building reuse grants being possible. And so we budget for that, way back in June for something that might happen throughout the year. So this $10,000 is already sitting in an account in the economic development budget, so no new budget action needs to be taken by council. And then finally, whether startup or not, we very frequently take a deed of trust on the property. This property has a related LLC that owns it, so the city of Burlington will take a deed of trust in a secondary position to the primary mortgage holder, so that there's some security behind the $10,000 match that the taxpayer is putting up for this grant program. And then just a little bit more about building reuse grants, because they really are a great fit for Burlington and the buildings that we have to offer. Now, certainly we're seeing some new construction near the interstate, but a lot of Burlington is, older vintage, some functionally obsolete industrial buildings. Those are very expensive to rehab, to get into, productive use and to operate more efficiently. So this program is a really good fit for those buildings specifically, to inject some capital in them and really get them up to snuff for a new user. And frankly, we've been pretty successful in Burlington with building reuse grants. In preparing this presentation, I was looking back since 2019, almost 175 jobs created from building reuse grants and over $10 million invested in the city of Burlington's economy because of these projects. And just looking through several of these, National On Demand's received a few, both of those buildings in downtown Burlington. And then the Flexos building and the NOAA Living Project were, long vacant industrial properties that now have job creation and investment and activity around them. And of course, ChenMed, a more recent one that will be opening here in the next year, providing healthcare services to economically challenged seniors. So good fits for our properties, good projects for Burlington, and this will be hopefully another one in the line with those. So finally, a little recap. The purchase of 322 Fonville Street will certainly provide benefits to the city. We'll have job creation that's above our average annual wage. This property's been vacant for 2 years, so to see it reused and back into active use will be great for the city. We're seeing investment in Burlington, and this project generates a very positive ROI for a very modest investment for the local government. And of course, this is very critical capital for a challenging property. To get anybody in this building and making an investment, we'd likely be looking at some sort of grant or program. So happy to have this fit. And of course, our staff recommendation is to approve this resolution and move forward. And I'll take any questions you have, and certainly Tracy and Jason are available for any of your questions about the company.
Any questions for Peter or Tracy or Jason?
This is there's a lot of residential use in this area. Is noise going to be an issue?
I would probably lean to Jason on that question.
Yeah. All of the machinery is internal, and so the noise will be captured within the building itself. Like Peter said, the building is solid brick. It's really well constructed, so the noise will be captured inside. And of course, we'll take all the safety precautions for the workers that are there, to make sure that there is not noise damage to their ears. So. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, this is a public hearing, so at this time we'll open the floor for public comments. Is there anyone on this side that would like to speak? Any Boy Scouts want to talk about this? Not, is there anyone on this side of the room that would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? At this time, we'll entertain a motion concerning the resolution to support the North Carolina Commerce Building Reuse Grant for Armin Stone.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution to support an application for the NC Commerce Building Reuse Plan for Armin Stone LLC.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion is approved. Thank you, folks, for investing in our community. We greatly appreciate it. Our next item is boards and commissions report. Planning and Zoning Commission, we'll ask Planning Director Jamie Wilson to give us an update.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Let me just get the map up here. Okay. So this is a request to rezone the property that's highlighted here in teal, currently zoned medium density residential, and the request is to go to general business with a limited use, specifically for multifamily dwellings. You'll recognize this area. I've been in front of you several times, and you can see the adjacent properties that are shown in the pinkish shade that's identified as GBLU, S2215 and S2203. Those are all similar requests by the same applicant. So this rezoning request basically just fills in that gap and connects some of those parcels together. It is consistent with, this request is consistent with the future land use designation. So at this time, staff is just asking for this item to be placed on the February 7th City Council meeting for a public hearing. Any
Okay.
questions?
None for me. Kathy, I think this answers the question you had a few meetings ago. Are you going to connect the pieces?
They worked it out.
They worked it out. So that's good. Is there a motion to add this to our February 7th meeting?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jamie, is that it on updates? All right. Perfect. At this time, we'll transition to public comments. I do not believe we have any. No public comments. Okay, at this time, we'll transition to council comments. I just have one quick comment, and actually it was brought up tonight at our MPO TAC meeting. Bob and I was there, but the State of North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles just wanted to remind everybody that there's a scam going on, that there's an email distribution, looks like it comes from the DMV requesting payment. So, you know, if we could get that out in the community a little bit to let them know, but apparently it concerned NCDOT enough that they brought it up at the TAC meeting tonight. So, you know, we just want to make everybody aware that that is not the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles. They would never send you an email asking for money. That's according to what they said. So, I think I probably had an email from them before. But any other council comments?
I just want to clarify something that I said at the last meeting in council comments that was pointed out to me, that it may have seemed that I was saying that the city of Burlington never finishes any projects, only the carousel.
Was that when you hit the desk?
I want to assure you, I know that a lot of things are accomplished in the city of Burlington, many, many projects. Rest assured, I appreciate it.
And talking to that line too, along those lines, we've got to come up with a little working list of items for staff as we move into 2023 and we go through budget time. So if council has any, if you'll funnel those to me, we'll get them on a sort of a docket for staff to start pulling some information together. I know Bob's shared a couple. I know Harold shared one or two, but if everybody's got any, let's get them all on the list so we can choose work session time to bring them up for discussion points, and then any that we look like we need to have budget discussions, now would be the time to get those on the list for Craig. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So just shoot those to me and I'll try to organize it and get it to staff. Any other council comments?
Craig, I know we have a meeting scheduled with the representatives in this month.
February 6th.
February
Let's
6th.
move to February.
Yeah, moved out. Obviously, at that time, in terms of any particular grants that might be available, that they're aware of in terms of their work, we certainly do.
We'll share our earmarking list with them as well. And Rachel and I talked a little bit about some federal projects, and she's met with the Ferguson group, and there may be some opportunities there. So we're also going to reach out to the county as well.
Very good. Anything else from council? I think we do have a request for closed session. Is that right, David?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we ask you, council to vote to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-31811A4 to discuss matters related to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area, including negotiations involving economic development incentives.
So we have a request to go into closed session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into closed session. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At this time, we'll enter into closed session.
Thank you, Boy Scouts.
They started their poem, I wasn't real sure where they were going.
Yeah, for teaching them.
Right? I want to learn that one too.
But it did help me that we were trying to get back to work here for it really like we were trying to not only discount it, it used to be too.
Well, it's one for fix.
Okay. I mean,
The little sticks, little bottles discussion.
okay, gotcha. And it is the carbon reduction act.
Using those funds.
Yeah. We're the only ones applied to that.
Oh,
Want to
yeah.
adjourn?
Might be at the moment.
Where's the rest of it? We got three.
Okay. Is there a motion to go in open session?
Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.